For more than 2 decades, Forecast International, which I will refer to as FI from here on, has been studying the U.S. defense budget and publishing a 6-year line item forecast for both RDT&E and procurement. With the launch of this new system, FI has extended its line item forecasts out to 10 years and has expanded its coverage to include other funding areas here in the red tab, including C1, M1, O1, and RF1. The new database enables users to quickly and easily drill down to their precise funding requirements to assist them with their strategic decision-making processes. You'll have quick and logical access to every justification document, including PEDS, P-40s, P-5As, P-21s, and every congressional and presidential document that the U.S. government publishes. The site is broken up into 4 main tabs. Each tab has subfolders that will display as both hover over drop-down menus or as secondary menu lines matching the color of each tab. We're now in the gray Home tab, so let's look at the submenu, also shown here in gray. Here you have About Us, Contact Info, the User's Guide, News, and Highlights, and a full listing of all of the budget documents. The budget documents are organized by type of activity, by year, and by branch of service. Each document can be downloaded as a PDF file, and those formatted as spreadsheets, such as the President's requests, can also be downloaded to Excel. Okay, let's move on to the yellow tab that covers Research, Development, Testing, and Evaluation. By clicking on the Menu tab, the system defaults to the first submenu called Presidential Request and Congressional Actions, shown here. At this point, for fiscal year 2012, President Obama has made his request and the House has yet to publish its authorization. As these authorizations are published, they will immediately be entered into the system. Here you'll see a pie chart displaying the 4 areas of funding that include the 3 main branches of the U.S. military, along with the defense-wide category here in orange. At this point, we have not queried the database, so every dollar of funding requests for R1 are shown below as the default. We can then begin to drill down by selecting any of the individual accounts listed below to display their line items. Let's drill down into the account 3600F by clicking on the appropriation account name. This pie chart contains the 7 budget activity codes listed below that the U.S. DoD uses to track R1 funding. At any point, we can alter the graphic from a pie chart to a bar chart, and we can also download our selected data set to Excel by clicking here. We'll scroll down, take a look at the President's request for each of the dozens of line items within the 7 budget activity code subsections. Scrolling back up to the top, we can also view FI's 10-year forecast for your selected data set at any point by clicking on the link here. Let's take a quick look at the 10-year forecast for the R1 account 3600F. Here's the 10-year forecast bar chart by budget activity code, and below are the numerical charts displaying FI's 10-year predictions. Keep in mind as we go through the remainder of this demonstration that at any point you can toggle back and forth between the 10-year forecast and the Congressional Actions database, and that also at any point we can download our data set to Excel for further analysis. We'll now toggle back to the Presidential Request and Congressional Actions database by clicking here. Okay, so let's continue drilling down to an individual line item program element. We'll choose line 77, Joint Strike Fighter, located here in Budget Activity 5. Clicking on each line item will reveal the program element descriptor summary, referred to as PEDS here, which is a concise description of each line item. At the bottom of each program element page is a pie chart displaying each of the line items within the same budget activity code, which in this case is code 5 or STD again. So let's select the next generation to reveal its PEDS. Here it is. Okay, to go back to the JSF, we'll simply go down to the pie chart again and click on that slice. Regardless of what line item we are viewing, we can pull up the justification documents just by clicking here. I'll expand the screen and here they are. Every justification document for the F-35 is here. Let's take a closer look at these. Okay, let's close this document and move on to Procurement, or P1, by clicking the green tab above. The Procurement tab is almost identical to the yellow R1 tab with one exception. The budget activities are not standard for each service or agency. Each agency has its own set of budget activity codes. There's a listing of these codes in the P1 manual located in the User's Guide within the Home tab here. This time, let's drill down using the gray menus here. Their content is revealed by clicking on them here and here. We have 3 standard cost types and 4 agencies. The appropriation and budget activities on the right will automatically adjust as we make our selections from the agency list. For this demonstration, we'll keep the default of all cost types. For government agencies, let's select the 3 main military branches of the U.S. DoD by selecting them with the checkboxes. Notice how the appropriations and budget activities to the right change as we select each agency. Next, for appropriations, we'll choose aircraft and other procurement for each of the 3 branches of service, and then aircraft, combat aircraft, and airlift aircraft from budget activities, and click Reload Data. Note that as we make our selections, our criterion displays on the left panel of the page here. This time we'll choose the Navy and Marine Corps Aircraft Procurement Account, 1506N, by clicking here. Our data set now contains a good majority of the aircraft procurement for the Navy and the Marines. From here, we'll drill down to an individual program element. Let's look at the Navy's Joint Strike Fighter CV, the carrier version of the F-35 Lightning II, located here in the Budget Activity Code 1, Combat Aircraft. Once again, here's the PEDS for the JSF CV. From here, the system works identically to the R1 side. At any time, we can view the previous fiscal year. Let's look at the same item for fiscal year 2011 by scrolling to the top and changing the year and pressing Submit. This system is incredibly smart and flexible. Notice that now we have each of the authorization and appropriations figures for both the House and Senate for fiscal year 2011. Okay, let's move on to the last and most interesting tab, in my opinion, Other Funding. This is a very important portion of the U.S. defense budget for those companies who are involved in production and services of all kinds. If you make it or do it, you have an opportunity to sell it to the U.S. Department of Defense. With other funding, the U.S. DoD has broken its budget categories into 4 main titles. Looking more closely at each category, it's amazing how much the Pentagon spends on sustainment and other non-weapons related programs. All in all, the other funding portions of the U.S. defense budget contain a staggering $490 billion for fiscal year 2011. With the U.S. defense budget hovering around $700 billion, $490 billion of it is for non-weapons related items. One last thing that I want to go over before I end this demonstration is the FI analysis. Accessible from either the R1 or P1 tabs, FI's yearly U.S. defense budget analysis is the perfect tool to keep your finger on the pulse of the U.S. defense budget process and all of the behind-the-scenes action. We'll hover over the P1 tab and click on the FI analysis from the drop-down menu. The report discusses Forecast International's methodology and delves into the current budget situation in great detail. This analysis provides users with what's happening, by whom, and why, with statistical analysis and supporting graphics that convey only those aspects that are important for those who need to know. This concludes our extended demonstration of Forecast International's U.S. Defense Budget Forecast System. Thank you very much for your time. For additional information or for a personal WebEx demonstration, please visit www.forecastinternational.com, or you may contact our representatives using the email address or phone numbers listed on the screen. Thank you for your interest in Forecast International.